Hi, my name is Sophie Musgrave and I'm a third year occupational therapy student who is jumping at the chance to be able to apply for the Interprofessional Intercultural placements in Timor-Leste and in particular Vietnam. Growing up, I was always conscious of the low health status in developing countries such as Vietnam and Timor-Leste, but it wasn't until I reached high school that I really became aware of the seriousness of the issue. My high school participated in a lot of awareness and fundraising campaigns for developing countries, such as Project Compassion. In grade 12, I also collaborated with a few close friends to develop a fundraising campaign for children in Cambodia who are disabled due to landmines from the war. We were over the moon with the amount of money we were able to raise to allow these children to attend school, and this fueled my desire to be able to make a difference in the lives of those who were not afforded the opportunities that I have been handed to me. My younger brother also had the opportunity to visit East Timor through a high school immersion, and his photos and stories have sparked my interest further. I was so amazed to hear about how the Timorese people, and in particular the children, had such positive outlooks on life and had such great big smiles on their faces despite the hardships that they faced day to day. I have always endeavoured to visit a developing country and provide a contribution, no matter how small, to improve the quality of life and make a positive impact on their world. Getting involved in the awareness and fundraising campaigns and hearing of the stories from my brother has really helped me to open my eyes to the level of need in developing countries. But opening my eyes isn't enough for me. It's a lifetime goal of mine to be able to see firsthand just what life is like for these people and to be able to make a positive and lasting difference to their lives. My knowledge of the cultural diversity in these two countries is formed from what I have heard from my family, school, friends who have visited these places, and from news stories. I understand that Vietnam and East Timor are developing countries that have each had more than their fair share of war and power struggles, and are now facing the effects of these damaging times. I know that their access and quality of healthcare is severely limited, but I also know that health is vital to these people as they live subsistent lifestyles, and that their physical health is important to them in being able to provide for themselves and their families. It has also been said to me that these cultures place a huge emphasis on family and friends, and so communication and client and family-centered care would be an absolute must. However, I am also aware of the obvious language barriers that could make this tricky, both verbally and non-verbally. Given the chance, I would hope to further my understanding of the culture of the country, so much so that I am able to seamlessly integrate this into the way I deliver client-centered therapy, and not to mention add this understanding to my own personal knowledge base. When it comes to my interest in pediatrics, I have always had a keen interest in working with children. This started when I was younger, growing up as one of the older of my 30 cousins. I then continued this from my time as a gymnast, acting as a mentor to many of the younger gymnasts and forming close relationships with them. From the age of 8, I would volunteer at my club's half-yearly competitions in which I would make sure that the kids were fully engaged and enjoying themselves, as well as helping them with their routines. I loved working with the children so much that I decided to become a coach myself once I finished training full-time for gymnastics. I have now been a coach for 2 years and have had the opportunity to teach gymnasts from the ages of 2.5 to 20 years old, both boys and girls. I'm passionate about what I do and have found myself moving up the ranks within the coaching team at my club, coaching gymnasts who are represented on state, national, and international levels. I love working with each and every child, and I always find myself developing rapport very easily with them. It's also amazingly gratifying to watch them work towards attaining their goals with my guidance. In my time as a coach, I've also had the opportunity to work with children with Down syndrome and Asperger's syndrome, which I have found challenging, but oh so rewarding. My older cousin was also diagnosed with cerebral palsy at a young age, and I have seen how, even in a country like Australia, he has faced many hardships to get to where he is today. On my previous prac placement, I've had the opportunity to work with youth in the mental health sector, and I would absolutely love to further my pediatric experience in working with children facing disability. I would like to understand how children and families cope with the situation in countries like Vietnam and assist where I can in bringing my own knowledge and expertise to the front line. I'm also very keen to experience occupational therapy in the rehab setting in Timor. I'm aware of the vast majority of Timorese live subsistent lifestyles and that their physical health is important to them in being able to provide for themselves and their families. Thus, rehabilitation is a very important sector. I'm also very interested in how, despite the countless hardships, these people are so positive and have such enormous smiles on their faces. Working in a rehabilitation setting with the Timorese people would be such a fantastically eye-opening experience, not only professionally in developing my expertise in this area, but also for my character in finding the positives and making the most of what you have. When it comes to interprofessional education and teamwork, I understand that collaboration is imperative in ensuring the best outcome for the patient. This is especially important within the allied health setting, where we are often dealing with a multitude of personal, environmental, and occupational factors. Whilst each discipline brings their own set of skills to the table, many of these overlap and can be informed by knowledge derived from another discipline. It would be such a fantastic opportunity to be able to practice this transdisciplinary education, as I know this will be such a vital skill to have in the workforce. Interprofessional teamwork is also a large determinant of client outcomes and satisfaction. We have learnt a lot at uni about having clear roles and communicating important pieces of information has such a huge effect on the success of therapy and ensuring that each professional is on the same page and that the client is provided holistic care. I would love to continue to develop my professional learning of teamwork, which I have already begun as a result of my sporting, coaching, and student body involvement. I was very honoured to be elected as the captain of the Queensland gymnastics team twice, and know just how important it is communication and collaboration are, and how each member of the team needs to be recognised for the contribution they can make. This role involved me invoking a sense of camaraderie in all members and to bring us together to motivate each other to be our best. I am very happy to say that we were able to bring home the Premier title both years. Woo! And now I'm hoping that everyone watching this is a Queensland supporter. In my role, I worked with coaches, parents, chaperones, and the gymnasts through motivational team speeches, group meetings, and individual liaison. I'm a big fan of the saying, "the whole is greater than the sum of its parts." I use this quote a lot in my role as captain, and I believe this would be especially true during the overseas placements in the multidisciplinary teams. I am also a firm believer in the notion that before you can speak, you must first listen and understand. This is something that I've learnt through my leadership roles, my job as a coach, everyday life, and especially through what we have learnt in our university course. I believe this skill will be so vital in going into a country where I'm unfamiliar with the culture, the verbal language, the non-verbal language, and the customs. In order to provide client-centered care, you must understand the client. I also believe my interpersonal communication skills have been furthered in my role as Secretary of the Occupational Therapy Students Association this year. It has been such an awesome opportunity to be able to work alongside my fellow OTs to plan and organise so many events this year. A lot of communication was required between us as a committee, as well as communication between myself, the OT cohort, and the wider public at events such as Open Day, Market Day, and the OT Ball. I've also worked with some of the physio and speech students to organise multidisciplinary events such as the pub crawl and the launch party. And in my role as secretary, I took on a large majority of social media promotion for things such as merch and fundraising events. So whilst I believe I developed some strong interpersonal communication skills, I am also more than sure that my skills could be furthered if I was offered the opportunity to attend either intercultural placement. I am very aware that I live a fortunate life growing up in Generation Instant. I am also very lucky to have the life and access to healthcare and education that I do, and I would appreciate the opportunity to be able to broaden my perspective and experience a different take on healthcare. I believe that I would take a wealth of knowledge away from the experience, not only in regards to occupational therapy, but also on the importance of teamwork, on the culture of the country, on how to always look for the positives and to make the most of what you have. Thank you so much for the opportunity you have provided us in being able to apply for these amazing experiences. And thank you for taking the time to listen to my application. Bye!